We are going to be on page 163 in your grammar book. So let's go ahead and jump in. Get going here. 163. It's a review page, so that's easy. We're talking about quotation marks. You guys already know that we use those when someone is speaking, like a character is speaking in a story. And there are some rules about capitalization and punctuation when it comes to quotations. So we're going to review capitalization mainly here. So quotation marks indicate words are spoken. That's like what I just said, if a character is speaking in a story. The quote is the sentence in quotation marks, and the attribution is the person speaking and the speaking verb. So there's two parts to these sentences: the quote, what's being said, and then the attribution, and that is who is saying it and how they're saying it. So we have a bunch of examples here. The first one says, "The princess cried, 'My nose has grown too long.'" You can see the quotation marks here. That's what she says. But back here, "the princess cried," that's called the attribution. And notice "the" is capitalized because it's the first word in the sentence in the attribution. And then "cried" is telling how she said it. And this kind of cry is not like a boo-hoo, I'm sad cry. It's more like a yelling out, because sometimes we use the word cried when somebody yells something. So then there's a comma, and then the quote. Now notice the M in my is capital. That's because it's the first word of the sentence that's being spoken. That always is capital. So if the attribution comes first like this, it also has a capital and then a comma and then the quote. Look at the next example, it's switched. So the quote comes first. Notice the M in my is still capital. "My nose has grown too long," she says. Okay, so it says "the princess cried." So "my nose has grown too long" is what she says. Capital M, and then the comma goes here after the word long. And then notice the T in "the" is not capital here because it's after the quote. "The princess cried," period. And then the third example is when they split up what she says. So it starts out with "my nose, comma, the princess cried, comma, has grown too long." So they split it up in two parts here. The M in my is capitalized. So always know that when you see a quotation of somebody, a quote, the first letter is always capital, just like in a regular sentence. But here we have the comma, and then the attribution is not capital here in the middle. "The princess cried." And then we have an extra comma here. And then the rest of the quote. Notice the H is not capitalized here because it's still part of this sentence back here. So you don't have to capitalize it here because it's second half. So down here it says, regardless of where the attribution comes in relation to the quoted sentence, capitalization and punctuation rules remain the same. Place quotation marks around the words that are spoken, not the attribution. So that's always going to stay the same. Capitalize the first word of a quoted sentence. That's always going to be true, the first word. And then capitalize the first word of the attribution only if it begins the sentence. So that just means like when the attribution comes first, like this first example, that's the only time you use a capital here. If the attribution comes later, you don't need a capital for the attribution part. Answer these questions orally. It says, what are the attributions in the following sentences? So JC, I'll have you do the first one. It says, "My nose still looks terrible, she cried." What part of that sentence is the attribution?
She cried.
Good, she cried. That's right. So she is the one speaking, and how she said it, she cried. Good, that's the attribution. And then Caden, how about the next one? Says, "Princess her father directed, just return the gifts. So what part is the attribution in that sentence?
Her father directed.
Good, that's right. You got it. That's who's saying it is her father, and how he says it, he directed it. And then the next question down here says, what part of the quoted sentence must be capitalized? You guys know the answer? If you know that, raise your hand. What part of the quoted sentence must be capitalized? JC?
The first word.
Good, every time. That's right. The first word of the quote, every time, no matter where it is, it has to be capitalized. That's right. Okay, so that was pretty easy. Do you guys have any questions about this page we just went over? Okay, good. Let's go to 165. And then Kaden, when you're ready, I'll have you read the 2 sentences here.
The next day, the princess's long nose was worse. She was surprised that the apple didn't help her.
Okay, good. Poor princess. She's having a rough day here. So worse is our vocabulary, and it just means like poorer health, right? It's just getting worse and worse. It's not getting better. It's the opposite of that. Kaden?
I was going to say it's like the opposite of better.
Yes, you're right. We were thinking the same thing. Okay, and then we have our 3 articles. Go ahead and find those by yourself and mark those. And JC, when you're ready, find those 3 nouns.
Day,
Good.
nose,
Yes, good.
and then apple.
Yep, you got it. Very good. And then Kaden, there's 2 pronouns in here. Where are the pronouns?
She
Good, she.
and her.
Good, and her. Sometimes her can be an adjective, but in this sentence, you're right, it is a pronoun. It didn't help her. Okay. And then JC, there's actually 5 adjectives in here. Can you find those?
Next,
Good.
long,
Yes.
worse,
Yes, good.
help,
That one's going to be a verb. Help is a verb, so not that one. One word, it kind of tells how she feels, though.
oh, surprised,
Surprised is an adjective, good. And then the last
and
one,
then
do you know what it is?
didn't.
No, it's whose long nose?
Oh, her.
Not her, right up here at the beginning.
Oh, princesses.
Yeah, it's actually princesses. So whenever you see that apostrophe S, sometimes it's a contraction, but for this one, it's telling whose. It's the princesses. There's a lot of S's in there. The princess's long nose, so that becomes an adjective. Good. And how about the that clause, Kaden?
Right by surprised and the.
Oh, in between, yeah. So that, and then how far does it go?
Her.
Yep, all the way to the end. Since that was so short, I'm going to have you do the verbs too, Kaden. Okay, so where are the verbs?
Help.
Good.
Didn't.
Good. The did part of didn't. Good.
Was.
Good. One more.
Was.
Yeah, good. 2 wases. That's it. So we have was, did the did part of didn't, and then help. Those are the verbs. Good. So then JC, what are the subjects that go with those verbs?
Princesses,
No, not that one. So what was worse though? It wasn't princesses.
Her nose.
There we go. Her nose is the subject there.
And then she.
And then she, good. And there's one inside the that clause too.
Um,
So you're looking at didn't help. So what didn't help her?
the apple.
There you go, the apple. The subject is the apple, good. So that's the best way to do it, is find those verbs and then ask what or who, and that'll help you with the subjects. Very good. Okay, capitals, Kaden.
The T and the at the beginning of the sentence, and then
Good,
the S in she.
good. Beginning of that sentence. End mark is just a period. Where does the apostrophe go, JC?
Didn't.
Good. Between what two letters?
N and T.
There you go, good. Didn't, between the N and the T. Done, good job, you guys. That was pretty easy. Any questions about this page? Good. So your homework is going to be 166, 167, and 168. And now we can get out our binders. Okay, you guys worked on, yes, just one paragraph is kind of easy. We're done with that already about the tortoises. So there's a couple of organizational things that we need to do in our binders real quick. By the way, this pink page, this was from before, and I suggested you tape it up on a wall somewhere where you work or keep it in your front pocket. So you should still have this pink one handy. And then did you guys notice there was another pink one in there too? So this is the other pink page. I want you to keep both of these pink pages either in the front of your binder or up on your wall somewhere. This is great. Another big list of ly adverbs. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I would go to write and I needed an ly adverb, I couldn't think of one. It was like I kept using the same ones. Like surprisingly, I tended to use that one a lot. So this helps you come up with like a lot more, and it's grouped by different types of ly adverbs. So depending on what you're trying to say, this can help you come up with an idea. So keep this in your front pocket or on your wall. And then the next one to put away is this yellow one. We didn't really talk about it because we just actually did it together, and I'm going to show you more of this, but this yellow page goes behind model charts and outlines tab. So this one here that says model charts and outlines, it goes, and there's a bunch of yellow pages in there. So it goes behind all of those. So go ahead and stick that in. After you put it in there, make sure you close your rings. Definitely important to close the rings. So stick that in there. And then wherever you keep your finished stuff, some students put it, you know, in another binder or folder, but wherever you put your finished stuff that you're already done with, go ahead and put away tortoises. And yeah, everything about tortoises can go away now. This is week 17, so you can put it behind finished compositions, or if you have another spot, put those away. Okay. And then close your rings. Then you're going to go back to the front. We're going to get out the next week. The next week is under source text tab. It's this one, week 18, called People of the Desert. There's 5 pages here, so make sure you get out all 5 pages for People of the Desert. Okay, and the other thing you're going to need, you probably saw this before, but in the very back pocket of your binder, not the front pocket, but the back pocket, you're going to see some white pages back there that are folded in half. They're big white pages. You just need one of those. I'll show you. They're folded in half. And you just need one of those. Leave the rest of them back there. But it's just basically a big white piece of paper. So, and then once you get that, close, make sure your rings are closed and close up your binder, and then you're all set. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll show you what to do with that in just a second. Kaden?
I know the desert tortoise, I wasn't able to do that, but I'll try to because I've been really busy lately.
I understand that. I've been busy too. I haven't even checked the homework yet, so it's okay. Just when you get a chance, go ahead and turn that in. Shouldn't take you too long. You finding everything okay, JC?
Where can you find it at?
The white paper, it's at the very, very, very back binder. It's like the very back pocket. You know, you have a front pocket, like way, way in the back. Not in those pages. So like here, let me show you in mine. You see what it looks like? Put it back in here. This part. Oh, guess you can't see what I'm doing. Let me share. This part way back here in this pocket, in the very back. So like here's the last page of the back of the binder. In this pocket here. Do you see it?
I don't see a pocket in the back of the binder.
Oh, weird. Like, see how you have your front pockets here with all your stuff in it? That pocket, it's just like that, but in the very, 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 very back of your binder, like past everything. You don't have a pocket back there? Weird.
Well, I do, but I don't see the paper in it.
Uh-oh. I wonder if somebody took it out or something. No paper back there. That's weird. Maybe somebody accidentally took it out, but do you have like maybe a piece of printer paper you could use from the print, like a blank piece of white paper?
My mom is going to get one for me right now.
Okay, that'll work. It'll be kind of small. If your mom has a big page, it's like this. Let me show you how big it is. It's like an extra big printer page. So if she has that size, this would be best. But if she just has a regular printer paper size, that'll work too. You'll just have to write small. Okay, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you hold up the paper, it's gonna be wide this direction. So kind of turn your paper this way. And then you're gonna fold it, okay? I'm gonna show you, yeah, you just use one, it's okay. It'll be too hard to use two. But turn it sideways like this direction, JC, and hold it up for me. There you go. Okay, turn it to the side. Yes, like that. Caleb, hold yours up a little higher. I think it's because you're blurred out. Yeah, like that. You guys are gonna fold it this direction first. That's what I call like a taco fold. So it's gonna be kind of this direction. So a little bit narrow this way. You're right, JC, that's correct. Good, that's correct. Make sure you actually fold it. There you go. Good. And then you're going to fold it in thirds from here. So you're going to fold past the halfway mark. And then the other side goes on top of that. Okay, so you're going to fold it just 2 times past the halfway and the other side on top of that. So it looks like a square when you're done folding it almost. So let me show you again. When you lay it down, you're going to go past the halfway part. And then the other side goes on top of that. Good. Yes, I see that. Hayden, good job. Yeah, okay, that's good. So yours is just small, JC. You're going to have to write. Are you pretty good about writing small? Okay, good. You'll be okay. And then you're going to open it back up. So basically you're going to see, and Kaden, you have an extra crease in the middle, but try to ignore that. But you should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. That's correct. Yours looks good. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to use this to organize our keyword outlines. So this is something new for us. And I'm going to have you set up your keyword outlines here first. So on your paper, this box, so I have it where it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So I have it laying down wide. Okay, so make sure yours is the same. So really, you have the squares are 2 on top of each other. And we're going to start with this one on the left side, the first box on top. I want you to put a letter A and a box around it like that. So you're going to have to write kind of small, JC, just so you have plenty of room on your page there, but I think you can do it. And then over here on the side, we're going to write our outline. So we're going to put a Roman numeral 1 first. This is kind of to the left here. And then you know how we make our outline. You're going to move in a little bit. Under the Roman numeral 1, now we're going to put 1 through 5 like this. Make sure you kind of spread them out a little bit so they're not too scrunched together. Spread them out so you have room to write. You're going to put 4 and 5 in parentheses because those are optional. You have to have at least 3, but you might want to have 4 and 5 if you find extra stuff you want to write down. So your outline should look like this. Okay. And then you're going to move over to the next square. And Kaden and I have an extra crease right here, so we're going to ignore that. But at the top of that square, you're going to put the letter B. So we have A, Roman numeral 1, and then B. This is also going to be Roman numeral 1 again. So we're going to put 1 here. And then again, 1 through 5. And make sure you spread them out a little bit so you have room to write. Okay, 1 more on the top. The next one over here is going to be C with a box. And the same thing, Roman numeral 1, and then 1 through 5. Parentheses around the 4 and the 5. Okay. And then under the B, there's a box in the middle under B right here at the bottom. This is where your fused outline is going. And underline that fused outline. And then we're going to do again Roman numeral 1. And then this time it's going to be 1 through 6. And we're not going to use any parentheses. So make sure you spread out these numbers. Don't put them too tight together. We want to spread them out a little bit. 1 through 6. So remember when you guys were writing about the tortoises, the desert tortoise, we only had A and B, right? We only had 2 articles to look at. This time we have 3, A, B, and C. So what we're going to do is the same thing we're going to read each one of those articles and put down information A, B, C like we always do. And then the fused is going to be a combination of a little bit from each A, B, and C we're going to put together and fuse down here. So same thing we did for tortoises, but a little bit more to look at. So the first step is to find article A. So we're going to start with A. So in your stuff that you just took out of your binder, this one here that says source text 18.1 at the top, this is page 153. The title is Nomadic Peoples of the Sahara Desert. That's the one we're going to look at first. So make sure you have that one. Source text 18.1. And then my marker. This is how I like to do it, trying to get it so it's not too much glare here. So let's see if I can fix that. Okay. I like to put my A right here in a box at the very top. So I want you to do that too. On above where it says the nomadic peoples of the Sahara Desert. That way you know this A goes with this A here. A and A go together. And we're going to focus on this one first. The other thing I want you to do, well, let me start by asking you this. Do you know what a nomad is? Have you ever heard that word before? Maybe you've heard it, but you can't remember what it means. A nomad is a person or a group of people, the nomadic people. They're like a tribe, and they travel together, and they don't have a home. They are always moving from place to place. Okay, we're going to find out about that. But this isn't very common in the United States, but it is kind of common in Africa, especially in the Sahara Desert. We've learned about that desert before a few times. So there are people that live there that just move all the time. They take their stuff with them, their tents and their food and everything, and they just travel from place to place to place. They don't really have a home like you have, where you have a bedroom and your own kitchen that has the food and stuff. It's not like that. It's like hiking, like camping, basically, but that's how they live. There's two types of people. I mean, tribes, two types of tribes. And we're going to, I want you to circle these words really quick here. So the first sentence, you see the word that starts with a B right here, Bedouin. It says, in the Sahara Desert of Africa live Bedouin nomads. Go ahead and circle Bedouin here. And if you jump down to the second paragraph, you'll see a word that starts with a T right here, the Tuareg. Now, these are the names of the tribes, and there's two different tribes we're talking about. Today, we're only focusing on the Bedouin tribe, so we're not going to read the second paragraph. We're only focusing on the first paragraph about the Bedouin people. Okay, so that's going to be our first topic, the Bedouin tribe. And I did notice that in that first sentence, I saw that they do live in the Sahara Desert. So that's what I want to write down for our topic. So right here, next to Roman numeral 1, I want you to put that word Bedouin, that's the name of the people, comma, and then the word Sahara. So we have Bedouin. You can copy it from the article there, and then comma, and then the word Sahara. That's where they're found. And I know I have room for one more word, but I'm just going to keep it just 2 words for this. So I want you to put that under B also. So all of the Roman numeral 1s are going to be Bedouin, comma, Sahara. And that's true for C also. We're going to put Bedouin, comma, Sahara. And then on your fused, same thing. Bedouin, comma, oops, Sahara. Keep wanting to spell that wrong. So all of your Roman numeral ones say Bedouin, comma, Sahara. That's because that whole paragraph, your first paragraph, is only going to be about these tribes, the Bedouin that live in the Sahara Desert. Okay. All right. So now we got that set up. Back to A here and back to A here. So because I want to walk you through this, I'm going to help you underline important and interesting information as I read here. So just go ahead and copy what I do, and then we'll transfer it to your outline. Okay, so it says, in the Sahara Desert of Africa live Bedouin nomads. A nomad is a member of a people or a tribe that moves from place to place. So I'm going to underline that word nomad and moves from place to place. I'm underlining just the facts that I want to put in my outline. So nomad and moves from place to place. Bedouins have traditionally survived by raising herds, camels, goats, and sheep. So I'm going to underline raising herds, camels, goats, and sheep. That's how they've survived. And I'm thinking because, you know, that's their food. Maybe not the camels. The camels carry stuff, but goats have milk. Some people eat goat meat, and sheep is like lamb meat, but they also have goats also can be milked. So I'm thinking this is their source of food, right? Among other things too. Okay, I'm going to keep going. However, these nomads stay in the valleys during winter to plant crops. They move to the highland pastures during summer. It's kind of interesting, but I'm going to wait on that because I really only need 3 or 4 or 5 facts. So I already have 2. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to underline that stuff yet. If there is plenty of grass for the animals, the Bedouins' winter camps might consist of 3 to 15 tents. Kind of interesting, but I'm not going to underline that yet either. I'm going to keep going. Bedouin groups make their tents out of black goat hair. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to underline make their tents out of black goat hair. Now, my goats that I have on my farm have really short hair. And I can't imagine making a tent out of that hair because it's like really short hair, like shorter than Caden's hair. How would you make a tent out of that? But I do know that some goats have long hair, like long hair that goes all the way to the ground, right? So I bet those are the kind of goats they use for their tents, because then you can kind of work with it a little bit and maybe sew it together or something. Okay, I'm going to keep going. We have 3 facts so far, so that's good. The tents only have a few things like pillows, carpets, and goat hair mats and cushions. I think that's interesting because that's all they have. I'm going to underline pillows, carpets, goat hair mats, and cushions. They don't have a bed, a dresser, a refrigerator, a microwave. They don't have the stuff that we do in our homes. They just have pillows, carpets, mats, and cushions. That's it. It's hard to imagine. Bedouins are always on the move, so they cannot have too many heavy items to carry on their journeys. So far we have 1, 2, 3, we have 4 facts. That's about right. So see how I skipped some things just because I was like, man, I really want to see if there's better facts in there, and there were. So 4 facts is good. Now we're going to transfer those facts to the outline here. So the first fact is about the nomad. and how they move from place to place. So I definitely want to make sure to have that word nomad. And then moves from place to place, I'm just going to put place, arrow, place. And that'll remind me, yes, they move from place to place. Or they travel from place to place. You could say it that way too. Okay. The next fact was about raising herds. And I do want to mention that this is where you can draw one of these animals if you want, or just list two of them. I'm going to use the word raising or raise. I'll probably just use raise. Remember, you can change that when you write your paragraph, but I'm going to put raise, and I'm going to put goats and sheep. And if you want to draw a little camel, you can, or if you're better at drawing sheep and you want to write the word camel, whatever you guys want to put on your outline, I'm just going to put raise, goats, and sheep. Okay, and then the next fact, I jumped down here. They make their tents out of black goat hair. So I'm going to put tents, or you can draw a tent if you want. And then I'm going to put, for the word black, I'm going to put BLK. BLK goat hair. I don't know why it needs to be a black color, but maybe those goats that have the black hair are, maybe the hair is stronger, is thicker, I don't know, than a brown haired goat, maybe. So I got tents and then BLK for black goat hair. And then the last one was these items that they have inside their tents. Now we only have room for 3 words. So if you want to draw some of these, you can. I think I'm just going to put pillows, carpets, and cushions. But you decide how you want to put that on yours. Okay. Notice I have 4 things. We only have to have 3, but I kind of liked that extra fact, so I put it there. And that means, you know, for 4 and 5, because we put it in parentheses, that's optional for you. So you don't have to have them, but sometimes you find some stuff and you're like, man, I really want to have that in there. Okay. We got all the facts on our outline that we underlined. And like I said earlier, we're going to skip the second paragraph about the Tuareg because we're going to do that one next week. So I want you to look for source text 18.2. That's going to be B. That's this one. And it's on page 155. And you probably guessed it. You're going to put a B at the top of this one in a box like this, because B is going to go with B here. B and B go together. So it's always good to organize your stuff when you're writing, especially when you're writing a report or a research paper. You must remember to label everything so that you know what goes with what. Because when you take information from one source and put it down in an outline, you need to know exactly where it came from. And on these, because they're printed, you can write on these. These are fine to write on. But if you have a book, which we're going to talk about later, if you have a book, you would have to use little Post-it notes or something in there because you don't want to write inside a book. But it's always good to label things and mark things. Okay. This one's called African Nomads. Again, 2 paragraphs long. find that word Bedouin. It's the first word, circle it. And then find that word Tuareg, circle that in the second paragraph. Just so you can see that we're talking about two different tribes, but we're focusing on the Bedouin tribe this time. Okay. And then again, I'm going to read and I'll help you guys underline things that are interesting in this one. Bedouin nomads live in the Sahara Desert. We already have that. By the way, we're going to try to find some different facts in this one, okay? During the summer, they migrate, living in black goat hair tents. We already have that about the tents. In winter, they stay in the valleys. I'm going to wait on that one. They prefer to live under canopies that can be completely closed when it is cold. I'm going to wait on that one too. I'm going to keep going. The Bedouin eat mostly dairy, dates, and rice. I think that's interesting. I'm going to underline eat mostly dairy, dates, and rice. Okay, so that's kind of a sad diet, honestly. So dairy would be like the milk from the goats, and I don't know if they make cheese or not, but and then dates, those are like a fruit that's been dried, kind of like a prune. Have you guys ever tried a date before, Kaden? Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say maybe because they have the goats and the sheep, maybe they maybe like they sell animals.
Yeah, I think that's where they get their milk though, because they don't have a refrigerator, and you guys probably know that milk will go bad if it gets warm, right? It spoils. So they can't really carry milk with them, but they can take their goats with them, and the goats have the milk. So I think that's how they do that. And then, of course, dates and rice. Rice, before you cook it, it'll last a long time. And then you just cook it when you want to eat it. But that's their diet. I go, hey, where's the beef and potatoes, man? That's what I like to eat. Where's the beef? Sad diet. But, they're probably just, healthy and they're fit because they're always walking around and, doing stuff like that. So anyway, okay, we're going to keep going. Using the stars in the clear desert skies to guide them, these nomads travel at night. That's pretty interesting. Do you think you know why they would travel at night? Why would that be the time to travel? What do you think, Kaden?
Not so hot.
I agree. I think that's why. Let's underline stars because that's important. And then I'm going to underline guide them. And then I'm going to underline travel at night. So I'm kind of taking pieces of that sentence, kind of picking out a few words. Stars guide them and travel at night. So I think so, because remember when we talked about the Sahara Desert last time, it gets to be like 130 or something crazy like that. 120 something, 130 during the day. That is so, so hot. You can't do anything. I mean, so they probably just stay inside their tent all day. And then at night when it cools off, they move, they walk. So they use the stars. Okay. They are so accurate that they are often asked to help find lost tourists in the desert. That's kind of funny for tourists. I'm going to keep going. The Bedouin use camels to carry their possessions and horses to carry themselves. I'm going to underline camels carry possessions and then horses carry themselves. I think that's interesting, and no wonder, because they can't really walk in the sand. I think that would be hard to do, especially during the day when it's hot. The sand is probably really hot. So remember, we just wrote a fun story about a camel getting inside the tent. Remember the pictures that you had to write about? Kind of like the same idea. The camels were probably hot, right? Let's go inside. This nomadic group has more than 160 words for camel, depending on the camel size, age, and gender. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to underline 160 words for camel. Man, that's weird. In my mind, we just need camel. That's one word. We got it. Camel. We know what that is. We don't need 160 words. It's interesting. And then depending on the, oh, I already read that right here. Most families have only a few camels, but the chiefs own more than 1,000. Whoa. I'm going to underline families, few camels, chiefs, more than 1,000. I'm just underlining those parts of that sentence. Can't imagine keeping track of 1,000 camels. That'd be a lot. Where would you put them all, too? Okay. That we're going to skip that second paragraph there. So now we have this information. We're going to start transferring it to our outline here. Okay. The first thing we actually underlined was about what they eat. So I'm going to draw a little Pac-Man guy here for eat, like a half a circle, and then you put like a mouth in there. Dairy, dates, rice. Next fact was stars guide them and they travel at night. So I'm going to put a star, and you can draw a star however you draw a star. If you want to just do a plus sign with an X over the top of it, that'll work as a star. And then I'm going to put the word guide and then travel and night. If you have a different way of putting that on yours, you can change it however it makes sense to you. If you want to draw a moon for night. The next one, camels carry possessions. I have too many things underlined here, so I'm probably going to have to not use something, but I'm gonna talk about how the camels carry possessions and the horses carry themselves. So maybe I'll put camels possessions. And then horses, I'm just going to draw a little guy here, a little stick guy. But if you have a different way of putting that, you can put it differently. And then, I don't know, this part about the 160 words, I'm just going to put 160 words for camel. That's just kind of cool and weird at the same time. And then if you want to, remember 4 and 5 are optional. And I thought it was interesting how most families have few camels, but the chiefs have more than 1,000. So I'm trying to figure out, anybody have any ideas on how we can put that for number 5? Any ideas on how we can put that one? Families, families, few camels, chiefs, more than 1,000. Kaden?
Maybe families, few, chiefs, 1,000.
Yeah.
And then maybe like draw a camel.
Okay. I like that. Families, few. Now you can either draw a camel, but remember when we wrote about camels, we did C with a circle. You could either do that or you could draw a little camel. And then chiefs, 1,000. That's a good idea. Okay, after you get that down. Since this is your first time writing a report that has 3 different articles, I'm just going to stop here. And next week, we will do C and the fused outline together. So you don't have any new writing homework this week. So that's good for you, Kaden. You'll have time to catch up with your other paragraph. You only have grammar to do this week, okay? Because I want to make sure to do this part nice and slow so you know exactly how this is going to come together. So we're just going to pause on this and keep it for next week. We'll finish C and the fused next week. But there is something else I want to talk to you about, and that is the banned words list. I keep forgetting to talk to you about one of your banned words that's on your checklist now. So go to, in your binder, there's a tab that says banned words. It's kind of toward the back. You don't have to take this page out. You can leave it in the rings here. You don't have to take it out. But yours should have words on it. Let me look at the checklist really quick here. Here it is. Yours should have say, said up here, and then seesaw, think, thought, go, went. Do you guys have those words at the top? Okay, good. And then down here, do you have eat, ate yet? No? Okay, that's what we got to do really quick because I keep forgetting about that one. So at the bottom, we're going to put eat / ate. So now that's a banned word. That means you can't use that anymore in your writing. We had to think of other words that you can use instead of eat, ate, so your writing sounds better. Do you have any ideas on a word that's you could say instead of eat, ate? JC?
Munched.
Yeah, I like that one. Munched is good. So we're putting the words you can use in place of eat, ate. These are the good words. Munched is one. Okay, Kaden.
Like snacked on.
Okay, snacked. On. Guess we should put that on there too. How about devoured? I don't know about you, but when I'm super hungry, I'll like devour the whole pizza. I'm hungry. Well, the whole thing. Consumed is one. Any other ideas? Kaden?
Gobbled.
Gobbled, yes. Gobbled up. Chewed. I guess we could say chewed. Any others? Have you ever heard of the phrase like inhaled? Like if inhale means when you breathe in, but if you inhale something like a hot dog, it's like you eat it really fast. Have you heard that one before? Inhaled. I inhaled the pizza. Okay. It's kind of more like a phrase or a play on words. That's a pretty good list. So if you, when you go to write this paragraph later, don't use eat or ate anymore. Try to use one of these other words, or if you don't like any of these choices, you can always look in a thesaurus to help you come up with another word, or online, as long as your parents are okay with it, you can find out on thesaurus.com. You can go there and type in a word and it'll give you some ideas too. All right, so go ahead and keep that in your binder. So if you get stuck, you have that page to look at to help you come up with a different word for that. Okay, did we do everything? Let me double check. I think so. I think we got it for now. Yep. Okay, so just a recap on your homework, you're just going to do your grammar. And I'll hopefully be able to check your paper on tortoises pretty soon. And then if I give you any suggestions, like if I ask you to change something, make sure you do that. If you want a better grade, you need to go in there and fix things and then send it back to me, and then I'll change your grade. So any questions about homework this week? You guys good? All right, then. That's it for today. Have a good week, you guys.